What's up YouTube, Playmatter here, and today I'm bringing you my first video on Nekroz. I'm documenting my journey from having been on a break from Yu-Gi-Oh! All the way to being ready and prepared for UK Nationals and European WCQs. I've chosen Nekroz, firstly because it is a fantastic deck with so much search power, and I do not think it will get affected by the ban list until after UK Nationals, and I really do expect to see Cliffort and Burning Abyss taking a direct hit in April. I'm not sure whether there's going to be another list out before the European WCQ. There probably will, but Nekroz might even still be the best deck at that point. So I feel it's definitely a deck worthwhile investing my time into, and my money. In this video, I want to guide any of you two through learning a new deck, and I'm starting from the very beginning. Step 1, reading the cards. Okay, so I've just gone through and read all these cards, and I just want to briefly go through a couple of the cards as examples of how I read cards and what I do when I read the cards. So with Shrit, if this card is tributed by a card effect, you can add one warrior type Nekroz monster from your deck to your hand. You can only use Shrit once per turn. Okay, so at this point I'm like, okay, it's got an if you can effect, so this cannot miss timing. So yeah, he's pretty cool. I remember his effect as he can be used as the entire requirement for a ritual, and also he can search for a warrior ritual Nekroz monster. Okay, so then when I'm reading the spells, this card can be used to ritual summon any Nekroz ritual monster. Tribute monsters from your hand or field, and or banish Nekroz monsters from your graveyard, then ritual summon one Nekroz ritual monster from your hand, whose level exactly equals the total levels of those monsters. You can only use this effect of Nekroz Mirror once per turn. If you control no monsters, you can banish this card and one Nekroz monster from your graveyard. Add one Nekroz spell card from your deck to your hand. And essentially I remember this one as the one that can banish monsters from the grave. And essentially I remember this one as the one that can banish monsters from the grave, so it doesn't lose any advantage when you activate it. So I think pretty much everyone kind of does this, they remember the cards as, oh, that's the one that does this. And it's a good practice to know its effects, know things like whether a card activates and whether it can miss timing and things like that. And then I'm going to read everyone's favourite card, Bryanak, or everyone's least favourite card if you're trying to pull it or buy it. You can ritual summon this card with any Nekroz ritual spell card. Must be ritual summoned without using Nekroz of Bryanak, and cannot be special summoned by other ways. Okay, so this tells us that you can't ever use the same monster in Nekroz to summon that same monster. So you can't use Trishula as the material for Trishula, you can't use Unicorn as the tribute for Unicorn. So yeah. And then we kind of find that every Nekroz monster has one discard ability and one ability while it's face up on the field. This one, you can discard this card, which is a cost. Add one Nekroz monster from your deck to your hand, except Nekroz of Bryanak. So that's pretty good as well. You can search any of your Nekroz monsters, not even just the ritual monsters, any of the monsters. So if you wished, you could search for Shrit, and then you could use the Shrit as the ritual material, and then you can use Shrit to search for a warrior Nekroz monster in the deck. And then while it's face up on the field, you can target up to 2 face up monsters on the field that were special summoned from the extra deck. Shuffle them into the deck. Again, that's pretty good. It means that it's really good against monsters that are special summoned from the extra deck. So yeah, when I'm thinking of Bryanak, I'm like, okay, can search for a Nekroz monster, and it can bounce up to 2 face-up monsters that were special summoned from the extra deck. So yeah, so that's step 1. Obviously, it would have been a lot more long-winded if I'd have gone through every card. So yeah, that's the gist of how I read cards and what I'm thinking whilst I'm reading cards that I've not read before, or when I'm going through a deck. Okay, so this brings us on to step 2. Find a first place deck profile if you can. Obviously, if you're learning a non-meta deck, then you won't necessarily be able to find a first place deck profile from regional or from or YCS. You might be able to find deck profiles online of decks that have won locals, and they're good to use as well if you're learning a non-meta deck. So something like, okay, so here we have Maximilian Reynolds' first place deck profile at the Ohio regional, which he does say Jeff Jones gave him basically the whole list. So yeah, I thought this would be a really good list to start with, and then kind of work from here. Okay, so the first thing I do is obviously read what they've put in the deck. other than the Nekroz cards themselves. So we've got this Jin, which stops your opponent from being able to special summon when you use it for a ritual material. You can also banish it from the grave to use for a ritual summon as well. So that's pretty cool. We've got 3 Manju, which searches any ritual monster or ritual spell card from your deck, and then Senju, which searches any ritual monster from your deck. So yeah, Book of Eclipse is seeing quite a lot of play as a tech card in this deck. Then we have Book of Moon, triple MST, I guess, is for the Clifford matchup, double Nekroz Cycle, double Kaleidoscope, and double Mirror. So we're seeing 2 of each. I wonder if that'll change over time, whether you'll start to see more of one and less of another, or whether 2 of each is, you know, the exactly appropriate amount. And then we've got 3 Preparation of Rites, Regeki, and Snatch Deal. The deck searches so much. Clearly, you know, you've got, I don't know how many search cards you have here, maybe 15, 20 search cards in the whole deck. So, you know, half the deck searches the other half of the deck. and it recycles itself as well, so you can constantly add cards from your graveyard or use the cards in your graveyard for, you know, to gain extra advantage. So playing more than 40 cards really isn't an issue in this deck. I feel it's the same as Memo back in the day when you had triple Dragoons, triple Diva. You're constantly going through the deck, constantly searching, constantly adding more stuff. So then I look at the quantities of the cards they use. So that, they've got 1 Dance Princess, 3 Shret, 3 Brynach, 2 Clausius, 1 Decisive Armor, 1 Gungnir, 2 Trishula, 3 Unicorn, and 3 Valkyrius. Like I said, they've got 2 of each of the ritual spells, but this is really where you want to be comparing this deck with other successful deck profiles and see what works for you and which you feel is best for the deck. And then using the side deck and extra deck as guidelines, something kind of to be considered definitely as you look at more and more profiles and start to test the deck for yourself. So yeah, the next step, step 3, really is finding out as much information about this deck as you can. Loads of other successful profiles and loads of other videos explaining the combos of the deck and things like that. So I'm just going to go through a few of those. Here's a first place regional deck profile from Pennsylvania, and we're seeing the deck and the quantities of things develop. So we have 1 Trishula instead, we have hand traps involved, so we've got Veilers and Maxis. We have them playing Great Sorcerer of the Nekroz, only 2 Shret, still playing 2 Book of Eclipse, triple MST, Regeki, this time Dark Hole, obviously because you need no monsters on the field to use. Obviously, because you need no monsters in the field to add one of the spell cards back to your hand, Dark Hole can help clear the board and then re-establish your advantage. And it's really interesting to see also he's got a few notes here. Again, we don't have different side deck, different extra deck to consider and look at those as well. Okay, so literally all I had to type into YouTube was Nekroz deck, and you get first place deck profile, first place deck profile, third place Tacoma Nekroz profile. You know, you've got London Regional, we have top 8, Max Reynolds 1 event later, and seeing what he's changed in the deck. You know, there's some really interesting things, all of these, you know, Nekroz deck profiles. There are so many videos to watch of deck profiles where people are winning with this deck, you know, and winning at big tournaments. So you've got, you know, 200 plus players at the American regionals, up to like 500 players. And, you know, these are good sources to find, you know, deck profiles, and it's so great to have the players talking about their success and talking about their thoughts on the deck, because you can then kind of collate all of these people who have been successful with the deck and all of their ideas into your own deck. Okay guys, I really hope you've enjoyed this video. Do hit the like button and subscribe. The next video, titled Making Your Own Deck, will be me making my version of Nekroz. I'll be explaining my initial theory, and it's all just theory because this is pre-testing behind each of my card choices and what I hope for the deck. Till next time, Play Matter, signing out.